A millionaire CEO fell in love at first sight with the clumsy bridesmaid at his friend's wedding. Before we begin the story, leave a comment telling us where you are watching from. Enjoy the story. The alarm didn't go off. That was the beginning of it all. Sofia Morales jolted awake at 9:47 a.m., heart slamming against her ribs. She was supposed to be at her interview by 10:30 sharp. Bridesmaids weren't supposed to be late, especially not the maid of honor. She sat up, tangled in sheets and confusion, before scrambling out of bed. The wedding dress, an elegant, silky, rose-gold gown, was still hanging untouched by her closet. Her curls were unstyled, her makeup untouched, and worst of all, her phone was dead. "God, no, no," she whispered, fumbling for the charger with shaking hands. This day meant everything to her best friend Emily. Sofia had promised she'd show up, be calm, be perfect. Instead, here she was panicking in her tiny studio apartment in Hyde Park, Chicago, running late, unprepared, and barefoot. It had already been a hard month. Her bookstore job barely paid rent. Her past, the one she tried so hard to hide, seemed to lurk in every shadow. This wedding was supposed to be her escape, a few hours to feel normal, beautiful, wanted. Instead, life was dragging her into chaos again. She jammed her phone into the charger, yanked off her sleep shirt, and started applying foundation with one hand while brushing her curls with the other. She didn't have time for a full face, but anything was better than walking in like she just rolled out of bed. By the time she zipped up the gown, struggling, tugging, finally begging it to slide, the clock read 10:17 a.m. Traffic in Chicago was a nightmare even on a regular day. But today, there was a marathon. She had no ride, no Uber, no miracle. But Sofia Morales had one thing left: grit. Sofia ran down the apartment steps in 5-inch nude heels, a bouquet clutched tightly in her hands. Her neighbor, Mrs. Chan, peeked out of her door and gasped, "Sofia, you going to the wedding like that?" "Pray for me," Sofia shouted back without stopping. The street was crawling with people, runners, and blocked-off roads. Taxis weren't stopping. Rideshare apps gave her 20-minute ETAs that might as well have been hours. Finally, she spotted a yellow cab pulling over to let someone out. She didn't wait. She ran. "Sir, please," she called, heels clicking, body swaying with every desperate step. "Can you take me to St. Clair's?" The driver, a grumpy old man with deep creases in his face, sighed. "You should have called ahead, missy." City's jammed. I know, please. It's my best friend's wedding. She'll kill me if I don't make it." He eyed her through the rearview mirror. "You got cash?" Sofia blinked. "No, just card." He grunted and waved her in. "Get in. But if we get stuck, it's on you." Meanwhile, across the city, Ethan Pierce stood in front of his full-length mirror in a luxury penthouse overlooking the lake. His tuxedo was flawless, his shoes polished, his expression blank. The wedding wasn't his, it was for his oldest friend, Nathan. Ethan wasn't used to these emotional ceremonies or sappy speeches. He was a CEO, a billionaire, a strategist. Everything in his life was scheduled, calculated, and clean. And yet, something in him felt restless today. He had everything money could buy: tech empires, real estate, influence, tailored suits, but no warmth, no real connection. He had dated models, heiresses, even actresses, but none of them ever made him feel like he was home. His mother, Miranda, had already started pushing another suitable woman from a wealthy family. Ethan wasn't interested. Not anymore. St. Clair's Cathedral was already glowing with white roses, satin ribbons, and gold candlelight. Guests were arriving in flocks, dressed in elegance and grace. The bride, Emily, was already pacing in her bridal suite. "Where is she?" she hissed. "Where is Sofia?" "She'll be here," the makeup artist soothed. She texted an hour ago. But Emily's stomach churned. Sophia was more than her best friend, she was her anchor. Emily had stood by her through years of trauma and struggle. They had built each other back up from broken homes and painful pasts. Sophia couldn't miss this. She just couldn't. Sophia's cab hit a traffic wall 2 blocks from the church. The driver shrugged. "You're on your own from here, sweetheart." She paid, thanked him, and without hesitation ran, in heels, on cracked sidewalks, past staring strangers. She held her dress up, bouquet in hand, curls bouncing, and eyes locked on the looming towers of St. Clair's in the distance. Ethan had just stepped outside for air, standing at the top of the church steps, black tux immaculate, sunglasses resting on his sharp nose, and then he saw her. A woman running down the street, like her life depended on it. Silk dress clinging to her curves, her cheeks flushed, her eyes filled with purpose. She looked like a walking contradiction, chaotic but elegant, desperate but powerful, late but right on time. Ethan blinked. For the first time in years, something moved inside him. "Who is she?" he muttered. Nathan stepped out beside him and chuckled. "That's Sophia, Emily's maid of honor. She's always like this." But Ethan wasn't laughing, because this wasn't like this. This was fate. Sophia reached the cathedral doors gasping, sweating, and laughing through her panic. The wedding planner looked ready to faint. "You're late?" "I know. I'm sorry." Sophia wheezed, catching her breath. No time. Get in line." The music was starting. She fixed her hair with trembling fingers. Her makeup had nearly melted. Her bouquet was bent. But when she walked down the aisle, she was stunning. Not polished, not perfect, but real. And Ethan Pierce? He didn't take his eyes off her, not once. Later that evening, at the reception, Sophia stood alone by the dance floor, sipping champagne. Her heels were off. Her soul was exhausted. Then came that voice. "May I have this dance?" She turned. Ethan. He extended his hand. His face unreadable, but his eyes hungry. She hesitated. "Do I know you?" He smiled. "Not yet." She let him take her hand. They danced. And for one moment, under the lights, under the eyes of hundreds, it was just them. Two strangers, drawn together by time, by chance, by chaos. The reception glowed with soft lights, laughter, and the hum of clinking glasses. Sophia stood alone on the balcony, the air cool against her skin as she stared at the skyline. Inside, people danced and laughed like life had never hurt them. Out here, she could breathe, until she heard the door creak behind her. "I thought you might have disappeared again," Ethan said, stepping into the moonlight. Sophia turned slowly, lips curling into a small smile. "You've known me, 3 hours? And already you're calling me a runaway?" He chuckled. "I'm an excellent judge of character. You look like someone trying not to fall apart." Her smile faltered. "What makes you say that?" "Because I know what that looks like. I do it every day." For a second, neither spoke. Then Sophia looked up at him. "So, who are you, really?" "Ethan Pierce," he said, softly but firmly. "CEO of Pierce Tech. Billionaire. Professional disappointment to my mother." Sophia laughed. It was soft, but genuine. "And you?" he asked. "I'm Sophia Morales, bookstore clerk, recovering coffee addict, and currently the worst bridesmaid in history." They both smiled. For the first time in years, Ethan felt normal, and Sophia felt seen. As the night deepened, Ethan walked her to the valet pickup. "I know people talk," Sophia said suddenly. "About you." I heard some bridesmaids whispering. Ethan stiffened slightly. "About the ex," she added. "Is it true? Did you leave her at the altar?" He took a breath. Number I walked away the night before. Found her with someone else. Someone from a rival company. I didn't confront her, I just let her go. Sophia studied him. Why didn't you fight? Because the moment I saw her with him, I realized I was trying to marry a life I didn't even want. He looked straight at her. I don't want perfect. I want real. Sophia looked away. Be careful what you wish for. Ethan stepped closer. Maybe real is exactly what I need. The moment felt dangerous. The silence between them wasn't awkward, was loaded. Heavy with a pull neither could name. She took a half step back. You're too close. You're too tempting, he replied. She opened her mouth to protest, but then he kissed her. And she didn't pull away. It wasn't fireworks. It was fires low, hot, consuming. Like two people on the edge of something life-changing. When they pulled apart, Sophia looked shaken. I don't do this, she whispered. Do what? Fall with strangers. Ethan smiled. Then let's not be strangers. 2 days passed. Sophia tried to go back to normal if normal included replaying every second of that kiss on loop. But that morning at the bookstore, while shelving a delivery, she saw his face on a business magazine. Tech giant saves struggling hospital in silent buyout. She froze. The article was from 3 years ago. It detailed how Ethan had quietly paid off the debts of Bridgeport Community Hospital right before it shut down permanently. She remembered that hospital. Her mother had died there. But before her final days, she'd received extra care, better equipment, and new treatment options that came right after that buyout. Her eyes widened. Could it be? She went home and dug through old boxes, hospital bills, discharge notes, one letter from a nurse who mentioned a sudden influx of resources that extended her mother's care. Sophia remembered sitting in that hospital room, watching her mother smile alive for a few extra weeks they were never promised. Ethan had done that, without knowing her, without expecting thanks. And now he was kissing her? She felt her walls cracking, slowly, painfully. As night fell, Sophia sat by her window, journal in her lap, trying to make sense of it all. Then came the text. From an unknown number, tell him the truth, or I will, Jason. Her heart nearly stopped. Number. It couldn't be him. Not now. She deleted the message, but it was too late. Jason King was watching again. The man who almost ruined her life. The man who promised to destroy her. And now, he knew she was with Ethan. That night, Ethan called her. Still thinking about our kiss? He teased. Sophia tried to smile, but her voice cracked. I've been thinking about something else. Oh? You once saved a hospital. Ethan paused. How do you know about that? My mom was a patient. You gave her more time. He was quiet for a long moment. I didn't know, he finally said. But I'm glad it mattered. It mattered, she whispered. It still does. They didn't say, I like you. They didn't say, this is real. But everything in their voices said it loud. Ethan didn't know her full past. Sophia didn't know all of his scars. But for a second, they were just two people drifting towards something beautiful. And neither of them knew Jason had just booked a flight. It was a Wednesday morning when Sophia's phone buzzed uncontrollably on the kitchen counter. At first, she thought it was just group chat noise, Emily probably sending wedding pictures or memes. But as she wiped her hands on a dish towel and picked up the phone, the screen stopped her cold. 27 missed calls, 42 messages, 19 emails. Then came the headline. Who is Sophia Morales? Billionaire Ethan Pierce's new flame has a dark past. She opened the link with trembling fingers. There were photos from years ago, her standing outside a courthouse in tears, others showing her storming out of a bank, A scanned police report from a fraud investigation she was cleared from but never forgot. And worst of all, sources say Sophia once filed for bankruptcy after being linked to a financial scandal involving her ex-boyfriend. Ethan Pierce has yet to comment. Sophia's legs gave way. She collapsed onto the couch, heart pounding. Jason. It had to be Jason. Within hours, the article had gone viral. Blogs reposted it. Anonymous social accounts made videos. People dug into her personal pages. Trolls found her old photos and turned them into memes. By noon, her boss at the bookstore pulled her into the office. "I'm sorry, Sophia. Corporate says we can't be tied to this kind of attention." "But I did nothing wrong," she whispered. "I believe you," he said quietly. "But we're a public company." Just like that, she was jobless. Just like that, her quiet little life shattered again. At Pierce Tech headquarters, Ethan entered a boardroom filled with tension. His senior team sat in silence as the image of Sophia's headline glowed on the big screen. One board member finally said, "Ethan, we need to talk about this." Another added, "Investors are already calling. If you don't release a statement and distance yourself." "No," Ethan said coldly. The room froze. "I won't feed the narrative that she's a problem, that she's trash. She's not," he continued. "She survived more than any of us would, and she's done it without money, without favors, and without running." "Ethan," his PR head began, "you have a responsibility." "My responsibility," he interrupted, "is to protect the woman I care about." Silence fell. He stood, buttoned his suit jacket, and left. That night, Sophia sat in her apartment with the lights off. She hadn't eaten. Her phone rang again, Ethan. She didn't answer. A knock came at her door. She froze. Then his voice, "Sophia, open the door." She opened it slowly, mascara smudged, eyes red. Ethan stepped in, took one look at her, and shut the door behind him. He walked to her, cupped her face gently. "Why didn't you answer?" "Because I thought you'd change your mind," she whispered. "I thought you'd see it and walk away." His eyes didn't blink. "Not a chance. I'm not good for your image, Ethan." "You're not here for my image." A tear slipped down her cheek. "I don't want to be your weakness." "You're not," he said, brushing the tear away. "You're my reason." 2 days later, Sophia was invited to a charity event. Ethan's World. Gowns, glitter, powerful names, cold smiles. She stood in the corner, sipping water, feeling painfully out of place. Then her, Miranda Pierce, Ethan's mother, elegant, cold, unapologetically powerful. She walked straight to Sophia. "You're pretty," she said, examining Sophia like a museum piece. "Thank you," Sophia said carefully. "But pretty doesn't equal legacy," Miranda added. Sophia's throat dried. "I'm not sure what you mean." "I mean," Miranda leaned closer, "you're not a good match for my son. You're a scandal, a risk, a news cycle waiting to implode." Sophia blinked. "I thought you believed in family." "I believe in the family name," Miranda replied, "not in dragging it through the dirt." Then she walked away. Sophia stood there, cheeks burning, heart pounding. That night, Sophia couldn't sleep. She opened a dusty box from under her beat-old letters, journals, photos. One envelope was different. A letter from her mother, written years ago, addressed not to Sophia, but to someone else. "To the man who saved my job when the hospital nearly shut down. Thank you. I never told you, but you helped me more than anyone else. You believed in me when the system wanted to toss me aside. I'll never forget you." There was no name, but the date matched the year Ethan's father donated to Bridgeport Hospital. Sophia's eyes widened. Could it be? She kept digging and found another note. "Your father may not have been perfect, but he wasn't who they say he was. You'll understand one day." Her hands trembled. Had Ethan's family and hers crossed paths before? Were they more connected than they thought? Or was she about to uncover something that could tear them apart? Elsewhere in Chicago, Jason sat in a dim bar, watching Sophia's viral story unfold on his phone. He smiled darkly and took a sip of whiskey. "She's in love now, huh?" he muttered. "Let's see how long that lasts." He opened his email and clicked send. Attached, a video clip. Sophia from years ago, frustrated and screaming inside the bank after losing her money to Jason's scam. He edited it, removed his own voice, made her look unstable. The message, "You still think you're worthy of a billionaire? Let's see how he feels when this goes viral." The video hit the internet at 6:03 a.m. Within 10 minutes, it was trending. The caption was bold, ugly, and brutally misleading. "Ethan Pierce's fiancée. Watch her explode inside a bank after fraud scandal." The clip showed Sophia Young, emotional and overwhelmed, screaming at a bank teller, crying, accusing them of stealing from her. What the video didn't show was the man beside her who had taken her savings, Jason King. He was cropped out. By 7:30 a.m., Sophia was trending on every social platform. News anchors started calling it the billionaire's girlfriend meltdown. Internet users, cruel and chaotic, turned her image into memes. Red flag alert. From wedding guest to court case. Ethan can't seriously be with her. Sophia didn't know until Emily banged on her apartment door holding her phone. "Sophia, you need to see this." Sophia stood frozen in her kitchen, watching the video over and over again. The way they painted her, the way people laughed, the comments, "She's just another gold digger. Ethan's lost his mind. Why does she always look like she's about to cry?" Emily wrapped an arm around her, whispering, "It's not your fault." But Sophia was already spiraling, because this wasn't just shame. This was trauma resurfaced. The memory of her bank account hitting zero, of Jason smiling as she begged for answers, of being humiliated in front of strangers. And now, it was all back online, viral, permanent. At Pierce Tech's headquarters, a firestorm was unfolding. Board members, lawyers, PR heads, they all surrounded Ethan like vultures around a bleeding lion. "Sir, we're being dragged in headlines. Investors are threatening to pull. This affects the brand, your image, everything." One man leaned in. "She's not good for the company. It's time to cut her off." With grace, of course. Quietly. Ethan stood, tall, controlled, quietly furious. "I'm not cutting her off," he said. "Ethan," his CFO warned. "She was scammed. She was hurt, and now she's being blamed for surviving it." The room stilled. "I will not let the world destroy the one person who's been real with me." That evening, Sophia packed a small bag. Just clothes. No shoes, no jewelry, no makeup. She left a note on her counter. "Don't look for me. I love you enough to leave." She called a rideshare. Gave the driver a small address in Vermont, an old cabin her mother once took her to as a child. Somewhere quiet. Somewhere forgotten. As the city lights faded behind her, she didn't cry. She just whispered to herself, "Let him forget me before I ruin him." When Ethan arrived at her apartment the next morning, it was empty. Only the note waited. His chest tightened. His world, usually so controlled, was crumbling. Not from scandal, but from loss. He turned to his driver. "Get the car. We're going to my press conference." The driver blinked. "Should I tell the team?" "No," Ethan said. "This isn't about them." By noon, the press hall was full. Reporters, cameras, executives, streaming platforms, curious onlookers. Everyone expecting the same thing. A polished apology. A quiet exit for Sofia Morales. But when Ethan stepped onto the stage, the room fell silent. He adjusted the mic, looked around, and then looked straight into the cameras. "I'm not here to talk about stock prices or PR strategy," he began. I'm here to talk about truth, murmurs. He continued. Many of you have seen the video of Sofia Morales. What you didn't see is the context, the real story. She was the victim of fraud abandoned by someone she trusted. She was broken, not because she was weak, but because she was human. He took a breath. I've made billions by building things, but Sofia, she rebuilt herself, without a dollar, without help. And that's the kind of woman I will never be ashamed to stand beside. He paused again, then said, So if you have a problem with her, you have a problem with me. The room gasped. Reporters scrambled for headlines. But Ethan was done talking. He stepped off the podium, ignoring every flash and every scream of his name. The world heard him loud and clear. Back at Ethan's penthouse, his aunt had dropped off a box of old journals from his late father. Inside, buried under papers, he found a single envelope, labeled, For my son, about the woman who changed everything. His hands trembled as he opened it. The letter was handwritten, faded, but the words cut clean. Years ago, I nearly died. Not from money or stress or power, but from loneliness. In that moment, a nurse named Maria Morales showed me more kindness than anyone had in years. Ethan blinked. Maria Morales, Sofia's mother. He read on. She didn't care who I was. She treated me like a man, not a name. I helped her later, when the hospital almost shut down. Quietly. She never asked for anything, but I owe her more than I can explain. If you ever meet someone like her, don't let her go. Ethan sat back, eyes wide, heart racing. It wasn't just fate. It was legacy. The ballroom was glowing with silver and gold. A charity gala packed with media, celebrities, and billionaires sipping champagne like it was water. Sofia stood near the center table, feeling invisible in a crowd that couldn't stop staring. But this time, it wasn't judgment. It was curiosity, because Ethan Pierce hadn't taken his eyes off her all night. Then the band stopped playing. Lights dimmed, and Ethan walked onto the stage. I'll only take a moment, he began. Tonight is about helping others, but before I say anything about business or philanthropy, he turned towards Sofia. I need to ask a question that's been sitting on my heart since the moment you ran past me in heels. Whispers rippled. Gasps followed as Ethan pulled out a small, black velvet box. Sofia's eyes went wide. Sofia Morales, he said, voice steady. Will you marry me? Silence. Then she nodded, trembling. Yes. The crowd roared, the cameras flashed, and the internet exploded. It felt like a dream, until it didn't. The next morning, Miranda Pierce summoned Ethan to the family estate. The room was cold, her posture stiff, and the folder on the table, deadly. I warned you not to rush, she said. Ethan sighed. You're not congratulating us? Miranda pushed the folder forward. She kept this from you. Inside were scanned letters, yellowed by time, but clear enough to read. They were from Maria Morales, Sofia's mother. One line hit Ethan like a fist. The child I'm carrying, it's mine to raise alone. But we both know who the father is. His father's name wasn't written, but the implications screamed. Miranda folded her hands. If this is real, she might be your half-sister. Ethan stood abruptly. You forged this. I didn't, Miranda said, ice in her voice. But if it's true, you'll ruin everything. Ethan found Sofia on the rooftop of his penthouse, staring at the skyline. She turned when she heard the door. He didn't speak, just handed her the letter. She read it slowly, word by word. Then her knees gave. Ethan caught her, held her, but she pushed him back. My mother would never. Maybe it's fake, Ethan said quickly. Maybe it's nothing. But I had to tell you. Sofia backed away. What if it's not? Silence. I can't do this, she whispered. I love you. But not if this might be true. Ethan's heart cracked. I'll fix this, he said. We'll take a test. We'll find the truth. But Sophia was already walking away. The DNA test was done quietly. No press, no publicists, no board members, just 2 samples. 2 hearts in limbo. Sophia moved into a friend's guest house and stopped taking Ethan's calls. Not out of hate, but out of fear. If it's true, she told Emily, then everything we felt was wrong. And Ethan? He stopped going to meetings. He spent nights staring at the ring he still planned to give her properly. Every day that passed without her felt longer than the last. While they waited for the results, Jason made his move. He posted a thread on a gossip forum. Rumor: Ethan Pierce's new fiancée might be his blood relative. Here's what I know. It included the letter Miranda leaked, the speculation, the engagement photo. By noon, it was trending. By 2 p.m., Ethan's company stock dipped. By 6 p.m., Sophia's number was leaked. Strangers started sending her vile messages. She deleted her socials and packed her bag again. She was tired of running. But this time, she didn't know what she was running from. The lie, the past, or the truth. Ethan opened the envelope with shaking hands. One line stared back at him. No biological relation. He was free. She was free. They weren't family. But by then, Sophia was gone again. She hadn't waited for the answer. She thought he might believe the rumors. And Jason? He sent her one last message. Even if the test clears you, you'll never be enough for him. Buried in her mother's old chest, Sophia found something new. A journal. One she'd never opened. Inside, an entry explaining everything. Her mother had loved Ethan's father as a friend. He had helped her when the hospital nearly laid her off. He was kind, generous, and yes, their connection was deep. But the baby mentioned in that letter was not Ethan's father's. It was Sophia's mother venting heartbreak betrayed by another man. A man who ran. The note was never meant for Ethan's family. It was just grief on paper, a grief that had now twisted into a storm. Ethan stood in his suit, outside the Vermont cabin where Sophia's friend said she might be. Snow fell lightly. He clutched the test results in one hand, the ring box in the other. The door opened. Sophia froze when she saw him. "You're not my sister," he said breathlessly. "We're not related. That letter was a misunderstanding. And I love you." She didn't move. "I love you," he repeated. With the mess, with the headlines, with the truth. Tears ran down her cheeks. "You still want to marry me?" she asked. He stepped closer. "Only if you'll say yes again." She smiled. And this time, there were no cameras. Just forgiveness. And forever. The cabin was quiet. Snow blanketed the world in white, muffling even the birds. Inside, Sophia wrapped herself in a thick blanket and stared out the frosty window. She could still hear Ethan's voice from that day he showed up with the DNA results and the ring. "We're not related. I love you." He meant every word. But after everything, the headlines, the shame, the near loss, she needed space. She needed to choose herself for once. She'd told him, "Give me 1 more week. If I don't come back, let me go." He nodded and left. No pressure, just faith. But not everyone let go. Jason King was a shadow that refused to fade. He'd been watching Sophia's every move through burner accounts, anonymous tips, even a drone he'd flown near the Vermont woods. He knew where she was. And he was angry. Angry that she didn't fall apart. Angry that Ethan still wanted her. Angry that he had lost. So he drove through the snow, with a bottle in one hand and bad intentions in the other. Sophia found it by accident, an old journal of her mother's hidden inside a blanket chest. She opened it with trembling fingers. And there, on the last page, her mother had written, "Love isn't a rescue. It's a partnership. One day, You'll meet someone who won't try to save you but will stand with you while you save yourself. That's love. That's forever. Sophia clutched the book to her chest. She knew what she had to do. That night, a snowstorm blew in. Sophia bundled up and stepped outside, needing air. That's when she saw the figure through the trees, stumbling, slipping, getting closer. Jason. He reeked of alcohol, his eyes wild, his breath uneven. You ruined me, he slurred. Sophia backed away. You took everything. You made me look weak. You did that to yourself, Jason. He stepped forward. You think that rich punk will protect you? You think you're better than me now? I've always been better than you, she said, voice steady. Because I never took from people just to feel powerful. That's when Jason lunged. But a car's engine roared. Headlights burst through the trees. Ethan's SUV skidded to a stop. He jumped out, eyes burning. Get away from her, Ethan growled. Jason turned, but too late. Ethan hit him once. Hard. Jason collapsed, groaning in the snow. Within minutes, police sirens echoed through the mountains. Ethan had already called them. Jason was arrested on charges of stalking, harassment, fraud, and multiple counts of cybercrime. Sophia stood quietly as they cuffed him. He looked up at her one last time. No smirk. Just hollow defeat. Ethan wrapped his arms around her. She didn't cry. She was past tears. That night, back inside the warm cabin, Sophia lit the fireplace. Ethan stood in front of it, watching her. She turned and smiled softly. You didn't have to come. I did. Why? He stepped closer. Because I told you I'll always chase you. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. He blinked. You kept it? He asked. She nodded. Ask me again. He took the box, opened it slowly, got down on one knee, and said the words again. This time, it was just the two of them. No cameras, no chaos, no past. Only love. And she whispered, yes. It was small. A meadow behind the cabin. 2 chairs. 1 violinist. A justice of peace. Sophia wore a simple white dress with her mother's locket. Ethan wore a charcoal suit. They said their vows with tears in their eyes and smiles that wouldn't leave. You were late, he teased as she walked to him. She grinned, but I made it. Later, they sat on the cabin porch, watching snow fall like feathers. Ethan held her hand. Sophia leaned her head on his shoulder. You know what I realized, she said softly. What? I never believed in fate. Until the day I ran in heels, and you looked at me like I was worth something. He kissed her forehead. You were worth everything. And with that, the bridesmaid who ran late, the billionaire who stopped believing in love, the ex who tried to ruin it all, the pain, the past, the headlines, all of it melted into one truth. They found love. They fought for it, and they chose each other. Not because it was easy, but because it was real. Thanks for watching. Join me next time for more captivating stories. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Before you go, help me grow this community. Hit that like button for more thrilling content. Subscribe for new uploads. Colorado MMEN below with your theories and reactions. Share with friends and family who love a good story. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for being an amazing part of this journey.